Welcome, 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 ladies, to Tool in Your Life with Shellie. I'm Shellie Lane, your host, and I am so glad that you have tuned in for this episode. Boy, do we have a great show for you all today. But there's a couple of things that you need to remember. Number one, our tool of the day is the measuring tape. But the question is, not only do you measure things at your house, but you measure yourself, how far you've come and how far you have to go. And we have an awesome author on with us today. Her name is Joyce Brooks. She is the author of 3 books, and they're really for women, and so you got to stay tuned for those. And they are Shift Happens, Self-Inflicted Overload, and It Ain't Over. So guess what you have in store for this show? Come on in and join Tool in Your Life with Shellie. And welcome back. So you all know that in the opening we talked about the measuring tape. So the measuring tape really does define what this particular segment is about, and we have a phenomenal guest on today. Her name is Joyce Brooks, and she is the author of 3 books, which I believe will help us to measure who we are as women. It measures how far we've come, and it certainly measures how far we have to go. So I'm so excited, Joyce, to have you as part of the show today. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you. It is my pleasure and my honor to be back with you again.
I'm glad that you are. Well, Joyce, let's get right into it. So you've got 3 books. Wow. Okay, so that's first of all. You've got 3 books out, and they really do pertain to building women in some way or another. You may not have thought of it that way, but I certainly did when I looked at them. I've read them, and my thought is, wow, what was your thought when you first did these books? And tell me a little bit about kind of your journey, if you would.
Okay. Well, it started off with the first book that's entitled Self-Inflicted Overload. Okay. As women, we are doing so many things, just as the cover of the book show. We're wives, we're mothers, we're teachers, we're entrepreneurs, we're doing everything. But in the process of doing that, oftentimes we become overloaded. Well, in 2008, I didn't realize I was the person who was overloaded. I had went for my annual checkup and was informed that I had breast cancer. And at that point, I was like, okay, what's going on? I thought I was healthy and everything. And it resulted in me having 30 rounds of radiation. Wow. And in 2009, I was declared cancer-free, but a few months following that, I was diagnosed with shingles. And I was like, okay, what is going on? And the doctor said, you're probably stressed.
Wow.
And because anytime you have any illness internally, if you're stressed, it just makes it worse. And that's how that book came about. I was like, okay, I need to figure out what is the cure for stress, and it's peace. If a person has peace, how can they say they're also stressed? The two can't reside in the same temple. So in Self-Inflicted Overload, the basis of the book is how do you achieve peace? And it's just actually the PEACE. Would you like for me to tell?
Yes, I would.
Yes,
Please tell me about that.
Let me tell the ladies how you get peace.
Okay.
Well, the first P is prayer. Now, I know that's not everybody's walk, but meditate. But if the prayer is, part of your life, that's the first step to achieving peace. Pray, put it on the altar, and let it go. E is having energy. We got to take care of our mind, our body, and our soul in order to avoid stress, or at least be able to manage stress, because some stress is healthy, okay? A is adjust our attitude. We wake up in the morning, if you can't say thank you, God, for another day, you're already starting off on a path of stress.
Wow.
Okay, so we got to have an attitude of gratitude, okay? The C is communicate. Now, this one is extremely important, because women who are doing everything do not know how to say no.
Wow.
We take on everything. Oh, can you lead this program? Yeah, I'll do it. Oh, can you pick my kids up from school? Yeah, I'll do it. Before you know it, you're overwhelmed. We got to learn how to say no.
Learn how to say no.
And have boundaries, Also, when it comes to communication, listen to the wisdom of others. There are people in your life who have journeyed where you're going, and they've seen the pitfalls, and they'll try to tell you, baby, let me tell you what you need to do. Listen, okay? Just listen to them. And then lastly, when it comes to communication, if you need help, ask for it. Sometimes we try to be super women, and hide, wear masks and say, oh, I'm not tired. Yes, you are tired. And you do need some help. And you do need a break. Express that and don't have so much pride that you can't say, I can't do everything. And then E is my favorite.
Enjoy.
Just enjoy.
Wow.
There's a passage of scripture that says, this is the day. And just stop right there. It's a gift. When you opened your eyes, you were given a gift. Enjoy this day. And that's how peace came about. Now, it ain't over. You want to hear about it ain't over?
Absolutely. I want to go back for a second, ladies,
okay.
just so that I can reiterate what she said. Prayer, energy, adjust your attitude, communicate, and enjoy. In order to be a woman, those are tools to help you to be the best woman that you can. And that's the first one, self-inflicted overload. All right, here we go. Number two.
It ain't over. I have been working for Alabama Power for 21 years, decided to step out, become the entrepreneur or mompreneur. And the book, everybody was saying, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like, you leaving the corporate community? I'm like, it ain't over. It ain't over. Wow. There is an opportunity in the midst of everything that occurs in your life, but you got to be able to see it and believe it. But what happened with this book that is actually it's the 10-year anniversary of It Ain't Over.
Please.
The book was at the printers. It was May 28, 2014. I was talking to my husband on the phone, and he said, it was 10 a.m., and he said, hey, have the boys ready at 2 o'clock. I'm going to take them to the barbershop today. I said, okay. At 2 o'clock, I was at Brookwood Hospital, and the only thing I remember them saying is, we're sorry. We've done all we can do. And I'm like, well, excuse me? Well, what are you trying to say? So in 4 hours, I went from being happily married, entrepreneur, living what I consider my stress-free, peaceful life, and now at 2 o'clock on May 28, I am now a widow and a single mom.
At the same time.
At the same time. But it ain't over. Because even in the midst of that, I realized I'm not the author of that book. I was the scribe because God prepared me. Because in that book, I talk about what do you do when you're faced with an adversity, a tragedy, a shock? How do you move beyond that? Well, you got to be able to have the right perspective, which is there's got to be an opportunity in this. And when it comes to your opportunity, I love formulas. My background is engineering. So I'll say opportunity equals, you ready for the formula?
I'm ready.
Okay. It's R times R times R divided by R. What do those R's stand for? The first R is your reputation. You can't go into a pity party when life happens. You got to maintain your reputation in terms of being positive. You are not what happened to you, okay? You don't become the tragedy. So maintain your reputation. The second R is your resilience. You can't quit. You got to keep moving. Okay, can we lay in the bed for a couple of days and have a pity party? Yes, okay, you can do that.
Right.
Just for a couple of days. And then you got to get up because it ain't over. The last R is your relationships. The people you have in your inner circle, they are very important to you seeing the opportunity in the midst of tragedy, okay? If the people who are in your inner circle aren't cheering you on and supporting you, it's time to make your circle smaller. And then the last R that you divide by is the resurrection. Because there is, it's resurrection. Because I know of a man who they accused of a crime that he had not committed, and they persecuted him, took him to trial on Friday, and they celebrated when they thought they had crucified him and got rid of him. But 72 hours later, okay.
I love it, I love it.
He was back because to me, he represents to me in my walk that it ain't ever over. It ain't over. So that's how that book came about.
All right, so hold on, because we're talking about the carpenter, right? You know this is Tool in Your Life with Shellie, right? So we're talking about the carpenter. Okay. So let me go back for a second. So self-overload or self-inflicted overload basically came when you were diagnosed. Actually, you were overloaded, but you were diagnosed with breast cancer, then got shingles, and your doctor said, it's because you're stressed, overloaded. Then it ain't over. came from you becoming a widow and a single parent in 4 hours in a day. So your life actually turned in 4 hours. You were talking to your husband, and then 4 hours later, you became a widow.
Yes.
What's next? What happened then?
Well, after what I did with myself, well, first and foremost, did I have a momentary pity party? Yes, absolutely, because I wasn't prepared for this. I have 2 sons, and we live in America, and I'm watching the news, and I see what happened to black males in this country and how they're treated. So that was very stressful for me. So one of the first things I did, I started therapy.
Okay.
And, mental health is real. And I had to guard my mental health because my sons are watching me, how I navigate this tragedy, this sadness, this issue. And I wanted to be an example for them. But I couldn't do it by myself. Back to the relationships. So one of the first things I did is I started going to therapy, grief counseling, to process what has happened to me so that I can continue to keep moving.
And let me just add to that, ladies. Again, a couple of the guests that we've had on in previous shows have really taught us that if you have to go to therapy or if you need help, counseling, it's okay. You just need to understand that as a woman, sometimes we need a little bit of help. Now, we definitely need to pray first, but counseling or therapy, that's not taboo anymore. Go do what you need to do to get your mental health in shape. Go ahead.
Okay. I also continue to write because I journal every morning when I wake up. And that's why I had all the material to put in this first book. I had been journaling from Self-Inflicted Overload all the way over to It Ain't Over. So in terms of tools to put in my toolbox, I would say get professional help, and I'm not putting down sisters because I have 4 of them, okay, or girlfriends or the people in your church. But sometimes you need a safe place. And when you go to therapy, everything is confidential and you can say things and cry and do whatever in a safe place and there is no judgment. So I would say therapy, journaling, and then go back to the peace. You got to take your peace with you every day. Pray about what's going on. Take care of your mind, body, and soul. Over that period, following this, I hired a personal trainer. I started boxing. I lost 20 pounds because I had to be in my best physical, mental, and spiritual state to deal with whatever this world is going to present to me when I walk out that front door.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. So the last book. Talk a little bit about the last book, if you would.
Okay, let me make sure that we know what the title of the book is. It says Shift.
S-H-I-F-T. Shift.
Yes,
happens.
shift happens.
Yes.
What happened with this book that caused me to write it really is a compilation of me journaling and sending out a blog to a few friends. 10 years after being diagnosed with breast cancer and being cancer-free in 2009, I went to lunch with my girlfriends. We're celebrating. Joyce has been cancer-free for 10 years. And then I went back for my annual checkup about 3 weeks later, and they said the cancer was back. I will confess, I did not say shift happens at the time. It was another shock to my psyche, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Is this real? And when they gave me the diagnosis, they didn't give me a lot of time to make some major decisions because radiation nor chemotherapy was an option because it was the same breast. And so I ended up having surgery, a double mastectomy, and the reconstruction and all that. And I know that's TMI, but it's real.
No, it is real.
It's real. But through the process, I realized as I was blogging, at first I'm writing things about how I'm feeling emotionally, my concerns, because I got to get it out. That's part of what the therapist told me to do. You need to write it down. But as the months went by and things happened, I was like, this is just another shift in my life.
Wow.
It's just another step back to the measuring tape. I had made it, measured on over to Self-Inflicted Overload. I made it over to It Ain't Over. Thought I had arrived. No, shift happens.
Yes.
You know, and it happens to us, everybody experience, but it goes back to your perception. I could have looked at that second cancer diagnosis as a death
Death sentence.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, and now I'm back at 5 years again. And I will confess, I'm like, okay. That's why I'm so glad you had Kimberly McNair Brock. You know, I'm going to talk to her about
that health stuff.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
But Shift Happens came about because I was journaling, I was blogging, and I was trying to process, what does this mean for this phase of my life? 10 years.
Wow.
I had no idea. At that time, I didn't know anybody who said they had cancer and then they got it again, And then for it to have to affect my body, I went from grieving my husband to grieving my breast.
Right.
Because grieving is loss.
That's right. It's a loss.
And I was okay with my girls. But back to the opportunity, I got a fun here. But back to what the opportunity is. Now that I have gone through these things, I have an opportunity to be transparent, to share and sow seeds, and not just females, but males too, because we all experience stuff. Maybe I can be a living testimony to, shift happens, loss happens, overload happens, but I'm still here.
So let's talk about that, because it seems like there has been a metamorphosis in you to some degree. Many people could have taken these experiences and just kind of rolled over and said, that's enough for me. And also, God, why are you picking on me? Why is it that, okay, first of all, I'm overloaded, I'm stressed, and that starts off with the shingles and with the first the cancer diagnosis, and then my husband is dead, and then I've a reoccurrence of the cancer. Many people might say, just forget it. Double mastectomy, just forget it. But you didn't. What were the tools that you used to get to where you are now?
Okay. I was raised in the church from right here. And I heard the lessons and the stories and the good news of the love of Christ for his children. I never forgot that. I never at any point, even when I was thinking I wouldn't be here, I'm like, well, I'm going to heaven. I was always trying my best to find the positive in the situation. Was I positive on day one? No. Maybe not even 3 months out. But I knew that's where, back to the measuring tape.
Yes.
I got to get to a point where I have an understanding and acceptance and a positive attitude about what is going on in my life.
Wow.
But the spiritual walk was the foundation of it. And that's, every morning I am thankful for the gift of another day.
Wow.
So that's number one. Number two was my sons, because now that their father is deceased and it's just me, I'm saying I got to be here.
Yes.
So I had a reason for my why. Why are you exercising? Why are you praying? Why are you working hard? Why are you staying in the game? Well, Jay Brooks and Matt Brooks are my motivation. And now today, they're 19 and 21.
Amazing.
And we made it. Well, they trying to make it. That's a whole nother segment.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, we'll leave that alone.
I understand.
But love them to death. But the foundation of it is the love that Christ has for me.
Wow.
That assured me that it ain't over.
So let me ask you this. As we talk about our measuring tape, because this is our focus tool for today. When you think about measuring yourself and who you are as a woman, where would you say that you started from, and who are you now? How would you measure yourself?
Okay, I started off being the individual that the world thought a person should be. I mean, I have 2 engineering degrees. I was married. I have children. I live in a nice community. I'm active in the community, the church, work. I was living the American dream as defined by what we would say today, social media.
Right.
Everybody trying to tell you how to have the perfect life. Well, now today, I realize there is no perfect life. It's the best life that you design, building something.
Yes.
You build for yourself. And I'm okay with that. I've given myself permission not to be perfect, which, by the way, was never going to happen, because perfection only exists for one.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
So over here, before Self-Inflicted Overload, I was checking all the boxes of what does success look like. Success looks like how you dress, your hair, your nails, your relationships, your car, all these external things, that validates you as being, you got it going on.
You're
doing
successful.
Good.
Right.
You're successful.
Mm-hmm.
Today,
yeah,
I define what success is. Oh, every day I wake up. Success today might be just go walk the dog, and go get a smoothie and get a book, call up Shellie and say, what you doing? That's success. And I think once we get to the point to just believe in ourselves and love ourselves and know God didn't make no mistake. Okay, could I be 5 pounds lighter? Yeah, but he made no mistake. 5 pounds heavier, I'm still Joyce.
Yes.
Accept ourselves. Give yourself permission not to be. Now, give yourself permission to stop working towards this perfection and work towards being the best version of yourself.
So would you say that in a sense eliminates comparison? Is that what we do in terms of measuring ourselves?
Absolutely.
Comparing. Okay.
Yeah, comparing and competing. I think that was mentioned earlier. I'm not competing with anybody. I'm running my own race. And it gives you so much freedom. When you get to that point, to that head space where you know you're good and nobody has to validate you. You were validated the day you were born. I got to tell you this one quick story, Shellie.
Please.
When I was in middle school, I ran for president of student council. I knew I was going to become the president of student council. I was most qualified. I was vice president before. I should be president of student council. Well, I didn't win.
Okay.
I was devastated. I lost by 13 points, but I should have called for a recount. But I lost by 13 points.
Okay.
Came home, cried the whole 9 yards, cried myself to sleep. Next morning, my mom sat me down. She said, okay, let's talk about what happened. And I said, but Mama, I deserve to be president of student council. I was the most qualified. She won't know what she's doing, going on and on. And she said, okay, let me tell you something. For the rest of your life, people will give you a title and they'll take it away.
Wow.
One day you're married, Mrs. The next day you're divorced. It's gone. One day you're a doctor, you get sued, malpractice suit, you're no longer a doctor to practice. But I gave you your title the day you were born. Your name is Joyce Elizabeth Petway. And you remember that, and that's the name you live up to, and you wear it proudly.
Wow.
And she released me from a lot of the pressures of, I got to be Mrs., I got to be judge, those are nice labels, but at the end of the day, you were good just being me.
That's good. That's good. Joyce, as we wrap this segment up, again, our measuring tape, you measured a lot of things in your life, and now you consider yourself successful in many ways. Okay. What tools would you give to our ladies who are listening about how to become successful, even through all of your tragedies?
Okay. First thing is define self by your terms. What does success look like for you, not what society say? And determine what really makes you happy. You know, it's a lot of people going into these big buildings in downtown Birmingham, and they sitting in the parking lot before they go in the building and say, I don't want to be here. They're not happy.
Right.
Tomorrow is not promised, people. It is not promised. So when you receive that gift, and I keep saying, to wake up in the morning in America, even with all our issues, with the freedoms and liberties we have, you should find the best version of yourself to enjoy that gift. Number one, work on having peace every day. Will we get it perfect every day? No. But tomorrow, you wake up, new grace, new mercy.
Yes. Okay?
Then have a perspective that no matter what happens, I'm going to find a positive in it. There's an opportunity in it. If traffic is backed up and I'm late for work, don't sit in your car screaming or whatever. Turn on some gospel, some jazz, some hip hop, or some country, whatever
it is.
Call the office and say, hey, traffic's backed up on 65. That's beyond your control. They can go crazy at work, but you're not going to get there any earlier than when the traffic moves. Make the best out of every situation that you are faced with. And then lastly, we accept the fact shit happens sometimes, y'all. Okay, that's just real. But if you got the right perspective, you'll realize it's just a shift. This too shall pass. Cancer pass, being a widow pass. I'm dating now. Shift happens, you know. And I just encourage individuals, especially women, to just love yourself because you can't give what you do not have. You must become your best before you can give your best.
Your best
So
self.
take care of yourself, guys.
All right. Well, what I'm going to ask now is for us to pray out this segment. And I'd like, if you would, Joyce, you have been through a lot. Again, as a woman, you've been through a lot. You are widowed, breast cancer, recurring breast cancer, shingles, single mom. But you're here and you look great and you feel great. So what I'd ask you to do is just to pray for the women who are watching now in whatever way you feel God is leading you to do, if you would.
Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity to share all the opportunities you have placed in my life to be a testimony to the women that are watching this program today. Father, help them to understand that you have never abandoned them, that you are with them right now, and whatever they're facing, you are right there with them. Help them to understand that peace will allow them to not be overwhelmed or stressed out. Help them to understand that it ain't over as long as they know who they are and whose they are. Father, in the end, I do understand and accept that sometimes shift happens, but even through those shifts, let the ladies know you are there as well. And Father, a special blessing upon Shellie because she is using this program to help your children understand that we are women under construction. We weren't meant to be perfect, but we are meant to live the best life that you allow us to have every morning. You allow us to wake up. These and other blessings I ask in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Again, ladies, the 3 books, and they are Self-Inflicted Overload, It Ain't Over, and Shift Happens by Joyce Brooks. And we'll be back. Ladies, what a super fantastic show. Thank you so much for joining Tool in Your Life with Shellie. But keep in mind that when we talk about the measuring tape, it really is a tool that goes in your toolbox. You can use it for things around the home like measuring flooring and measuring walls and measuring curtains. But keep in mind that when you look at a measuring tape or a tape measure, that you can actually measure your success. And your success is not about how much money you have or who you're with or what you drive. Your success is about the joy in your life. And remember where that comes from. Ladies, thank you again for watching. And remember, I don't have all the answers, but I know a carpenter that does. We'll see you next time on Tool in Your Life with Shellie.